Okay, so welcome to Module 5. So this mod is all about self-love and really tuning in, really just being in tune with what you need, what's going on in you, and how to listen to that. So, lovely little picture of the sand. Does this picture make you feel uncomfortable? I love me. I think that it makes about 90% of us feel really uncomfortable to say the words, I love me, and to actually genuinely feel like loving ourselves is an okay thing. So why does it seem so hard at times to love ourselves? What even is self-love? And why does it kind of seem elusive? Why does it seem like self-love is this woo-woo thing that we kind of can't grasp? And why is self-love important? Why do we need to love ourselves? Why is it really even something that we should pursue? So as women, we are always giving. We love to give. That is just part of our nature. And sometimes it's men too. They love to give. Sometimes there's women that aren't giving. But in general, just from a biological standpoint, women are always giving. We want to take care of this person, that person, run and do this, give to our children, give to our families. Giving is easy. Giving comes easy to us. But the work is in the receiving. The receiving. We are not naturally receivers. We don't like to receive at times. So if you could, on your piece of paper or wherever you're taking notes, watching the recording, on a scale of 1 to 10, what would you say, 1 being not at all and 10 being a master, where would you say you are at receiving? I'm probably maybe a 5 on there, to be honest. I'm not the best receiver. It comes hard for me. It's hard to receive. Now I'm getting better at it, but I'm not a 1 where I can't receive at all, but I'm also not a 10. So on a scale of 1 to 10, where would you say that you are? Ever notice that giving comes easy and receiving comes harder in many areas of your life? So whether that be the dishes are dirty, you need to clean those, or I need to take on this project for my daughter, or let me do that for you. It seems like receiving is harder though when someone says, can I help you? We are wildly uncomfortable with, or even seem to avoid, completely receiving help, gifts, invitations, love. Sometimes a foot rub can seem like, well, what do I owe that person? Or someone helping the dishes means that you owe someone one thing. So the receiving can kind of be this thing where it's like, I just don't even know how to do it, and well, I owe someone it. We just don't really know how to handle it. We're really uncomfortable with receiving. And receiving can be things like health, losing weight, improving your body in any way, just receiving good. Receiving can be anything good that comes into our life, or acceptance from other people, or even ourselves. Our efforts for X, Y, and Z, you name the goal, often get self-sabotaged because our self-care ends up at the bottom of our to-do list, because we know how to give, but it's receiving and putting ourselves first is hard. Why do we do this? Well, often we can feel like, and maybe it's not consciously, but we can feel like we do not deserve the goal or the self-care it takes to receive and just to be. We don't sometimes feel important enough. We don't feel like we have reached a certain expectation that has been set for ourselves. We don't deserve the self-care. It's not important enough. We feel like we aren't important enough because we haven't reached a certain perfection. We haven't reached a certain expectation for ourselves. And it's a vicious cycle. Even more so, we feel as though we cannot fully love who we are because we are not perfect yet. Do you ever say things like, I can't love my body where it is? I won't be happy, or I can't love myself until I do, until I have, until I am. Do those statements sound familiar? When you're doing this, you're basing your worth on things that are conditional. And the problem with that you won't be happy or accept yourself or love yourself until those types of statements, the problem with that is that it's going to be hard to maintain healthy habits. And it's going to be hard to be effective at maintaining those habits, like exercising, sticking to your sleep schedule, or even feeling well and eating clean. And the reason why is when your worth is conditional, your results will be as well. So if your worth is based on actions that you take and you fall short, you'll feel worthless, and in turn, you'll treat yourself that way. And the other reason why is because it's hard to take care for, like to care for or to take care of something that you don't love. So that includes yourself. If you're struggling to lose weight or you keep self-sabotaging yourself, it's because there's a lack of longevity to stick to those things, because you don't love yourself enough to do so. So often it's not that we feel like things are too hard, or that, I can't do that. It's often that we don't really feel good enough, or like we have enough time, or that we should do these things. We don't feel like we are deserving of them, so we won't fully walk through the path to get to them, because it doesn't feel like it's something that we are fully worthy of. So I want to give you a few tangible examples of when you don't feel worthy, and when you have the negative self-talk, and when you put yourself last, what happens, or when you tell yourself that you're not worthy, you're not good enough. So an example of this is there was a group of scientists, and they put one plant in one room and one plant in the other room. To one plant, they gave unlimited love and affection and words of affirmation. They affirmed this plant. They affirmed this plant with, "You're beautiful, you're amazing." And in the other room, they went into the other room with the separate plant, and they yelled at it, told it it was ugly, told it it was horrible. After a week, the second plant had all but died, and the first plant was thriving. This is just one example of a plant who is much less conscious than we are, dying on the inside, from the inside out, because it didn't feel worthy, it felt worthless, and it had negative self-talk as its fuel. Here's the thing, our body reacts to and responds to us, not the other way around. So as we think, as we act, as we believe, our body responds to it. It's not the other way around. And then we assume that it's the other way, and we have it all flipped around, and then it's confusing that when we aren't perfect and meet these certain standards, why we keep falling backwards and why we self-sabotage ourselves. We believe that because our body isn't something that we like, that it needs to be a certain way in order for us to really want to care for it. So we have this expectation of, I will really care for my body if it's this certain way. I wish I was this, I wish I was that. And then I can love my body, versus the plant that was loved previously and then it flourished. It didn't flourish first, it was loved and then it flourished. To these negative things, the body responds negatively. The body is always responding to the way you think and what you say about it, and especially what you feel about it. So one of the most toxic things that the body responds with is stress. So when we're talking negatively to our body, and when I say talking, I'm talking about thinking as well, what we believe about ourselves, what we implant into our mind, that, I don't have time to sleep, I don't deserve to sleep, there's not enough time for that. Things like that, that's stressful, on the body, and the body responds very negatively. And we know, and we've talked about this in previous trainings, but just in general, we know how damaging stress is, how hard it can be on our health. So let me make this concept into a visual so you can better understand it, of this this negative self-talking and what happens when we're not in love with ourselves and we don't care for ourselves deeply and are in tune with what we need and the direction that we're going. So imagine that you're with a person and you can't get a divorce from them. So no matter what, you're always going to be with this person for the rest of your life. You can't divorce them. You can't leave them. And this person will say to you, I'm going to love you and take care of you when you're perfect and when you feel better from your illness, when you need to lose those 20 pounds, whatever it is. I will love you when. This person will say to you often. And then they'll say, I'm also going to be very vocal about how I don't like you and all of your flaws. I'm also going to point all of those out. And I have this long laundry list of expectations you need to meet. There's about 12 to 20 things a day that you need to be doing. And if you don't do those, and if you don't achieve those, I'm going to remind you that you fell short. And I'm gonna let you know, and I'll let you know in a really abrupt, rude way that makes you feel terrible. Can you imagine if you were married to this person? You can't leave them. You can't divorce them. They're with you all the time. How stressful that would be. How stressful and horrible would that be if you were in a relationship like that? How much would that, being in a relationship like that where that person was constantly putting you down and didn't make time for you but would correct you when you didn't do the right things, how much would that really encourage you to be better or to reach for that goal that you want? Because they would just be nagging you when you fell short, or even listen to that person's expectations. At one point, you'd probably just want to stop listening to that person completely. Probably wouldn't want to listen to them at all. In fact, you may loathe that person so much that you do the exact opposite of what they say to do. You might want to completely be out of tune with what they need and what is going on with what they're feeling, because it would seem painful. It'd be painful to even be in tune with them because all they're doing is putting you down for falling short. You might resent them and feel completely stressed out all the time. You might want to avoid them and even mistreat them because they're so horrible to you. So let me ask you this and think about this for a second. And I hope that this isn't your spouse, because that's not what it's meant to be intended for, or your boyfriend or any people in your life. But who do you think this person is in your life? Who do you think is doing this to us? Because when we are out of tune with ourselves and we aren't experiencing self-love and we're self-sabotaging ourselves, this is the mentality and the mindset that we're going through. So who could this person be in our lives? The answer is ourselves, and that's a little mirror. Ourselves. We are our hardest critic. We are so hard on ourselves, and by being so hard on ourselves and having such high expectations, we actually shut ourselves out in what we need to heal, to be healthy, to have joy, because it's been so painful to be in relationship with ourselves and our expectations in the past. Stress caused by constant self-detest and lack of self-care is the hardest thing on our health. Stress affects our immune system. It affects our body's ability to store and release fat even. Stress is just so hard on our bodies, and it can make us really sick. Putting your body under massive stress and neglecting your self-care or being in tune with what you need puts your body in a state of dis-ease, and that's where disease comes from. your body is quite literally in a state of dis-ease. Oops, let's go back. So stress can be from chemicals and food, moving to a new state, regardless of the, the pollution, just moving in general, going here and there, being busy, yada, yada, yada. Stress can come from all different types of things, not just being tense. But the worst and most exhausting type of stress is from expectation. So putting stress on ourselves, what does that look like? It looks like us saying things like, I need to do this many days of yoga this week, and I can do this if I want. I need to do this. I have to cook perfect. I need to cook this meal here. I also need to do this. I also need to do this. I need to volunteer this weekend. I need to constant expectation. And I'll shortly just share my story. So and you'll see this picture below, and you'll see the before and after picture. When I had so many expectations on myself in college, I was involved in 7 different ministries, and I was working part-time, and I was getting straight A's, and I wanted to be in amazing shape, and I would cut out sleep so I could study and all these things. I was sick, that my body was in a state of dis-ease because it was overwhelmed by all the expectations I was putting on it. And I was getting sick, and I was going nowhere because of these massive expectations versus actually being in tune with what my body needed and wanted and what I really needed to do, not a laundry list of expectations and self-judgment if I didn't reach them. So I finally decided in that moment of just falling apart with all these expectations back in the day that I was going to love myself. And then I decided something else. What would I do differently for my eating, my exercising, my sleep, etc., if I already had the health and the body I wanted? If I already loved myself exactly as I was? Let's go back to that. What would I do differently? How would I love myself differently? What would my eating look like? What would my exercise look like if I already had what I wanted, which was the health and the body that I desired? Because I was beating myself up over not having the health that I wanted and the fitness that I wanted. And then I decided, what if I just loved myself as if I was already there? Happiness and loving yourself is a choice right now. Self-care and acts of self-love are a priority and a choice right now. And choosing to meet your needs and enjoy them every day, that's enough sleep, working out to look and feel good, not just to look, but to be energized, having your alone time, getting your nails done, not having commitments every weekend, etc. Name what it is. Name what it is the most selfless thing that you can do. Do you understand? This is the most selfless act you can do. Because here's the thing, you can only love and overflow and teach others love by the way that you lead by example, not from pouring out until you're empty. People are inspired and feel love through example. When you are consistently there for them because you've cared for yourself enough, when you're consistently in a good mood, when you're taking your health into your own hands, when you're getting enough sleep and you're energized, people are inspired and they feel loved by that. Oops, let's go back. So is this good? Is this sinking in? So when you're the example of self-care and self-love, it is the most selfless thing you can do for other people. So there's a few ways you can start to implement self-love, and we're going to talk about next tuning into your emotions. But one of the first ways that you can start implementing self-love and self-care into your life and really being in tune with yourself is to start speaking to your body kindly. See your body where it's at and just admire it. Just admire where it's at. If it's standing in front of a mirror with nothing on, and until you love yourself and telling yourself how beautiful you are, then that's what needs to happen. If it's just to admire something about yourself, like I love my forearms, or I love the way that my face is shaped like this, or I love how I look. I love that I'm getting in good shape. Even looking into the future, speaking to your body kindly. Good job for eating that quinoa last night. You know what? You had a little bit extra today. That's okay. You're doing amazing. You're getting the results that you want. Speaking kindly to your body is the most encouraging, wonderful, health-bringing thing that you can do for yourself. And it is such a huge stress release to speak kindly to yourself. By speaking kindly, you are lowering your cortisol. The next is to talk to your body like it's your best friend, because it should be. Talk to yourself, encourage yourself, treat yourself like you are your best friend. And, you know, if you're questioning, well, I don't really talk to my best friend all that much, then get to know yourself and learn what it looks like to have a best friend. You are a person in your life, and you're a person that has needs and that wants to be loved by yourself. We often forget that we're a person too, and that we have a relationship with ourselves. So talking to yourself like it's your best friend, asking, all right, what do I need right now? What will really nourish me? How can I love myself today? How can I be a really great example by loving myself today? Talking to your body like it's your best friend, having conversations with yourself just by checking in is one of the most amazing things you can do to reconnect to yourself. Just checking in, talking to your body like it's your best friend. You look so good. I love that color on you. Oh, your hair is looking great today. It sounds silly, but once you start thinking more in that way, then you'll realize that it's even more silly the way you were thinking before. Next is just to fall in love with you the same way you would any other person. When you're falling in love with a spouse or even just a girlfriend, you can love deeply a girlfriend. You start to notice, oh, that's so cute how they do that. Oh, I love that they do this. That was so sweet of them to do that. You just notice the things about them, the quirks about them, what they like, what they don't like, and you get to know them. You just spend time with them and you get to know what they like, and you fall in love with that person, because you're spending time with them and you're admiring the things that are beautiful about them. And when flaws come up, you embrace them and want to work with them to be better. So falling in love with yourself. All right. So now let's talk about emotions, because our emotions are really important when it comes to self-love. So the question is, how do we really go about learning to love ourselves, other than the few tips that we had before, which we want to implement those, but how do we really kind of get back in tune with ourselves? What does that really look like? What does it look like to be in tune? And why aren't we in tune with ourselves? So, all right, let's see. So, okay, so going back to this. So when we check in with how we feel and what we are thinking, then we realize that our emotions are signals. Our emotions, what we're feeling when we feel angry, like all these guys on the recording here, when we feel happy, when we feel sad, tired, upset, our emotions are giving us signals. And when we tune in, we realize that they really just are a signal. I put this in bold because it's important. Emotions are not bad or good. When we feel something, it shouldn't be labeled as a good feeling or a bad feeling. It really should be feedback for you to use as good. So when you feel something, it's not in the moment, oh, this is good, this is bad. When you're sad, oh, sad's bad, mad's bad, happy's good. No, our emotions are signals for us to see what we're feeling and what we're going through. Emotions are not just good and bad. They are feedback for your good. When we feel an emotion, often we react by pushing it away or pushing it down, because we don't really want to deal with our emotions. We don't feel like we have the time. It doesn't feel good. It feels vulnerable. We're not connected with ourselves, so it's a little bit scary. And so we'll just want to get rid of the emotion by either pushing it away or pushing it down to get rid of it, because it doesn't feel good. And I am here to say, knock it off. Knock it off. Permission to start being in tune with yourself and feel what you're feeling. No more pushing it away or pushing it down. Your new first step when you feel an emotion is not to push it away or to push it down. Your new first step is to always identify that emotion as a signal. Not bad, not good, not to push down, not to push out, not uncomfortable, just as a signal, some feedback. Because remember, you matter and caring for yourself matters. And if you don't, you're not being you. If you're not in tune with your emotions and what you're feeling, you're not being you fully. So checking in example. Let's use an example. So let's say that, what am I feeling right now? Let's say that you're feeling angry. So anger can be, okay, I'm so mad. I'm going to snap at a person in my life, or I'm going to just dive into this bag of chips. But instead, what we can do is we can check in and we can ask, why am I feeling this? What's really making me angry? Because by doing this, by checking in, we're taking just a few moments, it's not that much more time of our life, to ask ourselves what we feel and getting down deeper to the why we are feeling the way that we feel and where it's really coming from, really getting to know ourselves, checking in. Like you'd ask a friend, what's going on? You can tell they're angry, but maybe they're just frustrated, or maybe they're like, oh no, I'm fine. Often what we think we're feeling is not coming from where we think, or it's not what we think. And we're kind of just on the surface feeling these general emotions. Maybe there's 6 that we feel on a daily basis without really knowing that each emotion is a unique signal pointing to where it's coming from. So often, I'll say this again, often what we're feeling is not coming from where we think. Because here's what we do. We just want to shove our emotions down because they don't feel good and we don't think it's important enough to address. And this is why, when we're angry, we just, I'm going to just do this thing right now to deal with this anger. Because we don't want to feel the anger, so we don't want to address it, so we want to push it down or push it out. So then we want to shove them down because it doesn't feel good to get rid of it, or push it out because it doesn't feel good. And sometimes emotions get pushed down with things like food, TV, isolation, YouTube videos, a specific drug for some people, and so on, because, we're pushing them down with these things because we're not in tune with how we feel, and we're not checking in with ourselves to see what that signal is telling us. We don't know ourselves or truly know how to love ourselves, so we don't handle our emotions. Or the other instance, rather than pushing it down, we explode, and that emotion goes outward because we don't want to deal with it. We want to push it outward, and that can be like just diving for a bag of chips just to push the emotion out and personify it on the chips, or yelling at someone because we just want to get rid of emotion. They go both ways. Those are fast, easy ways to get rid of it without having to check in. And these are ways to deal with emotions, but they're not effective. These are not effective ways to deal with emotions long term. These are damaging and stressful ways that we deal with our emotions that hurt our bodies, stress our bodies and our minds in the long run, because we're not in tune with what we need. We're just putting stress on our bodies by pushing these things out and creating unnecessary challenges, or pushing things down and pushing piles upon piles into the garbage. I call it the garbage can. You have an overflowing garbage can, and then eventually it explodes. It can sometimes happen. We push a bunch of garbage into the garbage can, then it starts to stink if we leave it there, or if the garbage can piles up and it overflows. That's our emotions, just like overflowing, or we push them down and they stink and they start to kind of rot. Or like a garbage can, we have to take the garbage out all the time, every day. I take my garbage can out every day, or as soon as it starts to get full. So instead of looking at emotions, especially, negative ones, as bad, like we talked about earlier, which leads to the attempt of getting rid of them via pushing them down or out. So when they're bad, it's like, oh, get rid of this really fast. We need to look at emotions as necessary and important to our self-love path and to life in general. Emotions are the good guys. They're good guys, and they're the deepest way we express ourselves and we feel life and we experience who we are. They are how we know and get to know ourselves and get to know what we need. They're telling us something. Oops. So feeling is good. I just had to throw this in there. Feeling is good. You can write this down. Hope you're taking notes. Write this one especially. Feeling is good. And emotions equal signals. Emotions are just signals. They are signals that improve the quality of our life and teach us what we need to know. So emotions, when we feel something, it's a signal that's giving us the gift of improving our life by learning something about ourselves. When we feel angry every time we walk in the door and we reach for the bag of chips, if we and I always use that as an example because I used to love eating a lot of chips, but if we for a moment to walk in the door and realize why we're feeling that anger, what that's telling us about ourselves, that maybe we don't love where we live or the house is messy or there's something else going on, then we would be able to improve the quality of our life because we used that signal to teach us what we needed. And emotions are not just signals, but signals to take action on. They're action signals. You're feeling away and your body's telling you and your mind is telling you, okay, I'm giving you the signal now. Take action on it so you can feel better and process what this is. They're not negative. They're here to serve us. So the next time you feel even a negative emotion come up, the first thing you're going to do is not to push it down or push it out, but identify the signal. Identify, what emotion is this? What does it mean? What else am I feeling? Is this really what I'm feeling? Ask lots of questions like you would someone you really care about, and don't just swallow the emotion whole or decide you don't like it and push it away. Instead, chew on it. Chew on that emotion like you would your food. You get the most nutrition out of food that you really chew very well. And that's the same way with your emotions. When you chew on it and you ask your questions, even if it takes a little bit longer, which in this case, asking yourself these questions takes maybe a few seconds, but chewing on it is really going to help you realize what's going on. So let's do another example. So for example, exhaustion. So I am exhausted. What we need to do with this emotion is to start serving ourselves better is shifting our perception or procedure in a different way. So we're going to use exhaustion as the emotion right now. So to change this emotion, to start serving ourselves better, shifting our perception or how we proceed is going to help us deal with this emotion better. So emotions, like we were talking about, are these action signals. They're meant to be perceived or proceeded in an effective manner. So often we perceive them as something bad or we proceed in an unhealthy way, but instead we can perceive and proceed in an effective manner. And changing what we do with that emotion, changing that emotion, that experience into something that will serve us, that then is the most loving thing we can do for ourselves. So really shifting that emotion into something that is loving and that is useful is how we get in tune with ourselves and how we start building love and trust with ourselves by using our emotions for effective purposes. So going back to that example, exhausted. So normally, and I'm going to use myself as an example because I always like to be relatable to you guys. So normally I would want to binge and eat to give myself energy because I'm exhausted. So I perceive that eating would help me feel better, and I proceed to eat the ice cream. And that's my normal route. Then I feel bad, and I also feel unclear. I feel disgusted with myself because I ate so much not realizing even really what I wanted with that emotion, what that emotion was telling me, what it was trying to get me, what I really wanted. And I wasn't even really clear, so I was unclear on why I was feeling exhausted in the first place. So I just grabbed the ice cream to push it down. And I'm using this as a personal example because there's some really delicious vegan ice creams out there. So now, what if I use the P&P route, the perceive and proceed route, the more effective proceed and perceive route? So let's say now I'm exhausted and I'm tired, and instead I ask, why? What do I really need? What do I deserve that would most serve me because I'm feeling exhausted? What is this emotion telling me about what's going on? If it helps, think about what you would do with someone else, even your child. This is a really great way because we are so loving with our children a lot of times. If your child is exhausted and tired, you're not going to say, here, eat this ice cream. You're going to go, oh man, you know what, sweetie? I think you need to take a nap. You've been exhausted. We're going to get you in a nap. We've been traveling a lot. You perceive what's actually going on because you're aware of them. And you also ask them, are you tired? Well, what time did you go to bed last night? Oh, okay. So you're asking them questions. You're perceiving what's really going on, that they're tired and why, and that they really deserve and need that rest, and that will nurture them, and that will most serve them. Not just here, take this ice cream. So in this situation, now we're going back to my story. I perceive that I'm tired because I haven't gotten enough sleep, and I go and buy myself a sleepy tea, and I let everybody in the family know, hey, I am going to bed early tonight because I need sleep and I deserve to be less exhausted long term and tomorrow for my business. So now I have thoughtfully processed, so I've perceived and given myself the best love, proceeded by taking just a few moments to really see what was going on and to just check in. And if you need to go in another room, figure it out for a second. We're going to talk about ways to figure out how you're feeling fast in just a second. But whatever you need to do, just giving yourself, you could even say a 10-second rule to just thoughtfully process a way to give yourself the best love in that situation by interpreting that emotion. So ways to figure out how you're feeling fast. And again, this all ties into self-love, because when we know how we're feeling truly, then we can love ourselves the best. In the same way that when you know that your child's tired because they didn't get enough sleep, you make sure that they get enough sleep because you love them so much. You don't just throw ice cream at them and say, deal with it. So here are some ways to I call them pattern interrupts. When we're in kind of a stuck pattern and we're feeling a certain way, these are little scratch the discs and interrupt the pattern ways of figuring out what's actually going on. So how to figure out how you are feeling fast. So the first thing is to change your state. So if you're angry, it's not going to serve you to figure out why if you feel that way in the first place. If you're angry and you're just tense and you just can't think about anything but your anger, then just kind of sitting in one place and staying in the same state isn't going to really help you get out of that emotion or process through that emotion and figure out what's going on. So to change your state, you can walk into another room, you can move, you can dance, you can get into a different position, like lay on the ground, just do something different. Listen to your favorite song. That always works for me. I have 6 different workout playlists. If I listen to one song on one of those, always gets me into a different state of mind. That is my favorite state changer. Or I go on a walk. That's another one. Those two are my absolute favorite things. I love long walks. I love listening to music. But if I'm feeling a certain way, if I'm upset, most often if I listen to a song and I change my state by moving or listening to something I love, or if I go on a walk and I'm creating movement, I'm changing the state that I'm in, then I can kind of realize, oh, that's why I'm feeling the way that I'm feeling. And sometimes you don't have a lot of time, so going into the bathroom, listening to your favorite song for 5, 10, 15 seconds can be all that you need, or taking a quick walk to wherever for a minute. That could be all that you need to really change your state, or just getting by yourself. So changing your state, changing where you're at, what you're feeling by movement, kind of changing the mood you're in by really changing your physiology, laying down, doing something different, going to something you love, changing your state is a wonderful way to figure out how you're feeling fast, because you're not getting too stuck in that emotion, but then you can feel a little bit better to process it. The next way is to clarify what it is that you want. So let's go back to the angry example. When you're angry and frustrated, and you're just so tense. You just want to do something quick to get relief. But if you go on your little walk and take a moment to figure out why you're feeling angry, maybe it's that someone, left all the dishes for you to clean. Ask yourself, what do I want in this out of this situation? What do I want to happen? Do I want to feel better about this? Will talking about it resolve it? So asking yourself what you want out of the situation. In this case, if it was something with the dishes where there was a pile of dishes and you're mad about it, ask yourself, do I want to get in a fight? Is that the solution that I want? Or do I want this night to end with clean dishes and rest? So asking yourself what you want out of this emotion. Because often we just do something because of the emotion, when instead we should ask, okay, what do I want out of the reason why I'm feeling this emotion? The exhaustion. Instead of reaching for the ice cream, what do I want? Well, I want to feel better long term. I want to feel more energized. What would most do that? Sleep. So clarifying what you want to get and what you want to do with that emotion is really important when that's coming. And these are things you can do in seconds, a matter of seconds. You can have them written down in a note card, have them on your mirror, on your phone. Just these are little tips that you can remember, and having them written down is a great way to do that. So the next one is just to take action and change your perception, or your P&P, your perception and your procedure, like we talked about earlier. And you really are doing that with the first two, but this can be making a decision. So say you're angry and you go on your walk or you go in the other room real quick and you decide, I want to feel better about this situation. Then you get to choose and to what to take action on when it comes to how you want to perceive something and how you want to proceed. So you can take those dishes and perceive that everybody is so exhausted in the house, and I realize that, and I'm supportive of that, versus I'm so mad that there's dishes. And then you can proceed to either clean them yourself or say, hey, let's set up a schedule for the dishes, everybody, so that even though we're all tired, we can rotate and it'll help. So what you've done in this instance is if you've taken action on what you want to get out of the emotion by changing the way that you perceive it to something healthy and the way that you proceed that gets you what you want, if that makes sense. So you're changing the way that you perceive the situation. You're looking at it in a constructive way, and you're changing the way you proceed with the situation and the emotion by doing something constructive with the situation that was causing that emotion. Okay, so now let's go to Coach Chloe section. So this section is just me sharing some things that I do with my self-love. And the first picture is, before I go into what I do now, the first picture is me, I think in either college or high school, and I was involved in lots of things. I was wearing myself out. I was never getting enough sleep. I was binging on sugar because I was so exhausted, drinking probably 3 or 4 espressos a day, just extremely exhausted. I just was not taking good care of myself because I wasn't in tune with what I needed, because I thought that I needed to meet everyone else's needs, including all of the people in my Bible study and all these different things. And I was just exhausted. I wasn't getting my proper nutrition. I felt guilty for spending money on myself. I just felt bad about knowing myself and what my needs were, and that my needs were even important. I felt like God would not be proud of that. But then I realized that if God created me with the desire to be healthy, to be energetic, and to love people, and He created me as His child, then why wouldn't I love myself and take care of myself and reach my full potential? I realized that self-love was a tool to really be able to serve at a higher purpose. So brunette Chloe is Chloe that takes much better care of herself. She's not perfect, but she takes much better care of herself because she knows the value of self-love and self-care for being able to serve others. And she knows that it's okay to invest in herself because she deserves it, and she's worthy of it because she is special and unique and deserving just in general. So one of the things I do is I have a morning routine, and I don't have to do everything. There's probably 7 things I'd love to do every morning, but that doesn't always happen. So I have my top 3 things, and I do at least 30 minutes where I I meditate, which is one of my top things. I know that will give me the biggest bang for my buck when it comes to being focused for the day. And then I do my gratitude journaling. And then I also am in the process of doing the belief worksheets that you guys all have that's in module 5 and 6, and working through different beliefs I have that are limiting me. And sometimes I do my affirmations as well, which I try to do those every other day. Those are really important to me. Then I tell myself daily, and this is part of my affirmations, which sometimes I do in the morning or in the afternoon, that I am worthy, and that I am worthy and I am loved. And I affirm myself for the wonderful creation that I am, the wonderful person that I am. And I don't feel guilty about it. And I practice self-care. So that's making sure my face is washed, taking hot baths, eating really good food. I practice caring for myself, checking in often. So, and this is part of your homework, but I have a picture of myself with words that I want to believe about myself. So, and you'll see this if you go in for the homework tonight, you'll see this picture. You're going to create one yourself. I have pictures with confidence, self-love, worthiness on them. And those are words that I affirm each day and put into my belief system. And if I'm not believing one of those, then it tells me that there's some counter belief that isn't true that I'm believing. So I have this picture with all these words on my face, and you'll see this in the homework tonight when you do it. But I'm really just, by having those words all over my face, those are just kind of, and in a sense, written on me. That's who I really am. And when I believe differently, I can check in with that picture and find beliefs that are not true that are keeping me from believing them. So I try to take small moments each day. I try to do minimum 2 to process things as they come up and check in. So what that'll look like is at lunch, I'll eat and I'll turn my phone off, and I'll kind of see how I'm doing, see if there's something bothering me, what's going on. I try not to rush. I try to have that time. And then I do this also in the morning and at night. So I check in with my day. What bothered me today? Why did I do this? Why was I feeling this way? And I really just check in, even just for 5 minutes, maybe less than that. And that can be through journaling, just asking yourself the why questions, or doing the belief work. So just checking in 1 or 2 times a day to see how you're feeling, why you're feeling things. If you're feeling a certain emotion very strongly, asking why you feel that too. So when I feel something coming up, I feel extra stressed, I can dive into why versus just having my set times. And then I try to do my makeup 2 to 3 times a week. I'm pretty good at 2. I've been trying to do 3, just because, not that I have to wear makeup, but it makes me feel really good to take the time for myself and to curl my hair and do my makeup. It makes me feel really good. So I like to do that a few times a week. I don't do more because I don't believe in makeup every day, just to give my face a rest. But then I also get my nails done. I do those like once a month. And I'm sure people do them more often, but once a month is perfect for mine. When I need new workout clothes, if I run out of workout pants or something, I'll go shopping rather than Goodwill, I'll go to Lulu and buy 1 new pair of workout clothes. They're a little expensive, but they last forever, and I am deserving of them. I want really good quality workout clothes that I feel good in. I really invest in my food. I let my trainer kick my butt at the gym, and really, I follow the exact workout because I deserve it. I deserve the best food. I deserve to get in the best shape. And I try to hold extreme gratitude for what I have as evidence that I am amazing. So I am the healthiest and the most fit that I am. That is evidence that I'm amazing, that I've taken action, and that I've tuned into my body and listened to, I really want to be healthy, and I've done that. Tuned into, oh, I need some new workout clothes. Well, I will buy a new pair of, I use the amazing things in my life, the relationship with my husband, my business, as evidence that I am amazing and that I'm worthy. So those are just a few things that your coach does versus not taking care of herself and having very, very low self-worth. So now let's do takeaways here. So today, let's do this. So today we talked about self-love. So self-love and realizing that you cannot earn more value or worthiness regardless of what weight you are, where you live, your relationship status, or your income, etc., etc. You can't earn more worthiness. Worthiness is, in a sense, almost an illusion, because you've already been given this immense worth, and there's nothing that you can take action on and do. So all the things that you're doing are things that you should do because you enjoy them, because they're creating a result, because you love them, not to earn worthiness. So no action or overcommitment or anything you can do can change that. So you can't earn more worthiness. So no more trying. You can't earn more worthiness. You can't lose worthiness, regardless of what you do. So loving yourself the way that you are and loving yourself the way that you would if you were at your ideal weight are one and the same. Treat yourself now as you would at your ideal weight and goal. If you can visualize where you'd be at your ideal and weight and goal, what would you be treating yourself like? How would you look at yourself in the mirror? What would you believe about yourself? Those are all things that you should be experiencing now. You should feel the same way now about yourself as you do in the future. And of course, with getting in good shape and experiencing wins in life, you gain confidence. But to have that confidence now and to start to craft that, just really, really will put your path on Excel. It'll excel it, and you will start to feel and move towards your goals faster because you're already feeling what they feel like and what it feels like to experience the love that you're trying to move towards. So loving yourself by meeting and understanding your needs and wants, all the while feeling worthy, is the most selfless thing you can do. So we're breaking the mold and the belief of you taking care of yourself and you loving yourself as selfish. That is completely wrong. It is selfish to not take care of yourself. It is very selfish. Think about your family. Think about the people you're inspiring each day. When you take care of yourself, you're pouring into them. You overflow into others and inspire them by your self-care, by nourishing yourself, by creating results and goals in your life, whether that be health or even in other areas of life, your relationship. Taking care of those things in your life, including you, is the most precious thing in your life that you can do. Next is learning to love yourself means being your best friend and checking in. How am I feeling right now? What do I need? What do I want? Checking in with yourself like you would a friend or a spouse that you would text. What do you want for dinner? Self-love means that you use how you feel as feedback to let yourself know how to best serve yourself. So you deserve to feel what you're feeling. When you feel something, you deserve to feel that and use it to better yourself. Tired? What does that mean? Hungry? What does that mean? Use your emotions as a way to constructively serve and get to know yourself so that you can take good care of yourself and fall in love with this amazing person that cares for you, yourself. So permission to own that self-care that you desire. So all the self-care you desire, enough sleep, getting good quality makeup, buying a few extra organic ingredients, those things, permission to own self-care that you desire. So whatever you're desiring is self-care, and need as a necessity, not a luxury. I give you permission for your self-care as a selfless act. So moving forward, your self-care is selfless. It is necessary. It's not a luxury. It's not selfish. It's selfless and necessary. And right now, I encourage you to, and I give you permission to let go. You're letting go now of the guilt of self-care as being something bad. And you're realizing that self-care is the catalyst to reaching your goals that you have set for yourselves in all the areas of your life. Loving your family better, being in amazing shape, feeling great, loving others, all the goals that you have in your life. Your self-care and your self-love and getting to know yourself is the catalyst to those things. So this is a quote real quick from my coach. I have quite a few coaches, but one of them is a mindset coach. And he says, rituals and routines are the most important for success. So that being said, here's how we start implementing everything we've learned tonight. So number one thing for homework is the belief worksheet. So from the past module, and it's in the new module now, it's in the Dropbox for this week, is the belief worksheet. Going through at least one of these a week is going to help you understand why you're thinking what you're thinking and that it's not true when it comes to negative self-beliefs. And I want this belief worksheet to be on something that is related to self-love, especially this week. So, last week it was kind of whatever beliefs are coming out. This one, make sure that you're targeting feelings around worthiness of good health, deservingness, loving yourself, self-care, getting to know yourself, anything that's holding you back that you feel like is a belief that you believe, and sitting down for just a few moments to kind of think about, what do I believe about myself? And then writing a statement down, then going through that worksheet and countering that belief is something that you should do weekly. One belief a week. If you did one belief a week, you would crush 12 beliefs in the next 12 weeks and replace them with amazing, empowering beliefs. And our beliefs are how we see the world and how we take action on our life, if you remember from last week. So that's number one. Number two is Goddess Hour, or you can call it me time, whatever you want. My coach calls it Goddess Hour. I think that's so funny. But so me time, Goddess Hour, whatever you want to call it. Minimum, and it's not even for a full hour, but minimum of 20 minutes in the morning and 20 minutes in the evening, scheduled. Schedule it. And you've already probably been doing some of these things, but making sure that you have at least blocked out 20 minutes for you every morning and 20 minutes for yourself in the evening. And if you're not getting your workouts in, then maybe you can use one of these 20 minutes for that. Hopefully these 20 minutes aren't that, because these 21 minutes are more for gratitude journaling, affirmations, working through your beliefs. But 20 minutes for you time, and choosing the 1 to 3 things, not everything that you could do in the morning. There's, a million things I could do, but choosing the 1 to 3 things every morning that are going to give you the most power, the most encouragement, the most energy, and the most joy throughout the day, and the things that will help you stick to your goals. So for me, like I said, it was my meditation, my gratitude journaling, and doing a little belief work are my top 3. And then affirmations are in there too, because as I do my belief work, I'm creating new affirmations at the end, because I'm creating a new belief from that worksheet. So my affirmations are kind of in there, but I have my top 3, and I at least schedule 30 minutes for that, because it's so, so important. And there's a lot of other things I want to do. Sometimes I have extra time, but the minimum is that 20 minutes of your time, because you deserve it, and putting it on the schedule because it's for you. So number 1, belief worksheet, 1 a week. Number 2 is implementing that 20 minutes in the morning and at night to do the gratitude journaling, your affirmations, and the belief work, and making sure that you make time for that. And maybe your 20 minutes in the evening is reading a book or going on Pinterest. That's one of my favorite things to do. I love looking at house decor on Pinterest or new recipes. It's so much fun for me. But whatever it is, those are your minutes. Those are your minutes that you deserve at the very minimum. So schedule them. Next is number 3 is a picture of yourself that you're going to post somewhere. So this picture, and you'll see it in the module, is a picture that you're going to, and I can recommend apps to you if you don't already have apps that you can put texts on the face, or you can print it out and write on it. You're going to take a picture of yourself that you really like, or that you look silly in, or that you look beautiful in, whatever, just a picture that you admire of yourself. And on this picture, you're going to write all the words that you want to believe about yourself. The words like beautiful, confident, fit, energetic, powerful should be on there. Not those words specifically, but words that are empowering in that way should be on there. If you want to feel sexy, that goes on there. If you want to feel confident, that goes on there. If you want to feel like a world changer, that goes on there. As many as you want, at least 5. It should be much more than that, but do as many as you want. Little words all over your face. I use an app called Over. I will send that to you guys if you need that, but I put all these different words. I made them different colors. It took me maybe 5 minutes at the most. And then I have that picture, and every morning I tell myself, when I jump in the mirror or something, I will tell myself, you are one of those words. So maybe the word is confident, and I will say that word, even if it's for a week. Every time I go into the mirror, into the bathroom, I will say that word And my word right now is worthy. I'll say that word in the mirror until I believe it. So this is kind of the same thing as the affirmations. It can be part of your affirmations, but having those words on that face, seeing them, and I put mine all over my body rather than around me because I want those words to be on me. So, and you'll see in the example. So having those words all over your face and choosing one of those words to say over and over again to yourself until you believe it will start to get those words as your identity. Really put it down in there. And really, you have to post this somewhere. It can be in a Facebook group. It can be on Facebook in general, so that you are kind of committed to, oh, I put this out there, and those words being your new identity. And this is in the homework. You'll see it. I have a picture of me. All my words are on me. My word right now is worthiness, which is on there. So I have been saying that to myself often. Every time I go to the bathroom is my little cue, but often until I start to more and more believe that. And when I fully believe that, then I can move on to the next word that I really want to believe. So that's number 3. Number 4 is catching up on anything else that you have been behind on. So if there's anything else in the other modules that you haven't caught up in, if you go back to module 1, if there's, you want to check out the macro tracking or the recipes on the meal plan, anything else that you need, or if you want to check out additional resources in any of the modules, there's some additional resources in this module as well that will be uploaded with the recording tonight. Or if you need additional resources, that's the place to do that. So module, get those. If you've exhausted all of the additional resources in the module, reach out and ask for anything additional, but just catching up. And then if you need anything additional is homework number 4. And then homework number 5 is, and these last 2 are very short things. Homework number 5 is posting your 3 things that you want to work on this week and posting that into our group Facebook group. So that's, okay, my top 3 goals this week are implementing my goddess hour and doing my belief worksheet is number 1. And number 2 is hitting all my workouts this week, all 3 or 4 of them. And then number 3 is hitting my macros on point and really, getting my carbs, to hit that certain thing, or getting enough protein in every day, or keeping my fats at my number or under, really having specific goals for yourself and posting those in the Facebook group. The reason why we post the picture of yourself, the goals, is that not only are you showing me these goals and I'm holding you accountable, but by posting them in a Facebook group with other women, even if it's just a few, which is good, you don't want it too big, but when you post it in a group with other people, there's an added level of commitment to those goals. So you have your level of commitment, your coach's level of commitment, and other people that are in the same process level of commitment. You can also post these in the Voxer group if you want an additional level of commitment. So homework. Doing a belief worksheet, just 1 this week. If you haven't done already a few from last week, you can add in an extra one if you want. Going through that whole worksheet, choosing a belief that you believe about yourself that is disempowering, turning it into something empowering, scheduling 20 minutes in the morning and in the evening for yourself, you time. Read a book in the evening, go on Pinterest, whatever it is, you time, something that energizes you. I would recommend something other than TV, but something that energizes you before bed, and in a sense of fills you up, fills your soul, not keeps you awake. Then the picture of yourself with lots of random words on it and posting that somewhere, even if it's in our group, but you can also do that on your Facebook page and talk about it. That is powerful. That will add an added level of accountability to you believing those words about yourself. And it'll be inspiring. And then catching up on any extra things and posting your commitments in the Facebook group. So that's the homework for this week. So go ahead and write that down if you haven't already. It's 5 things, seems like a lot, but it's really not, because the last 2 things are pretty fast. Like if you're already caught up, there's nothing you need to do there. And if you post your things, your commitments in the group, then that'll take about 5 seconds. So really it's just the top 3 that will help. And also just intentionally checking in with yourself, and this can be in your goddess hour, your me time. How am I feeling? As emotions come up, how am I feeling? So being intentional this week. Woo! All right.